Good. All right, Ryan, Lindsay, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
I was just right before I hopped on, I thought I better check Instagram to see what's going on in the last couple of days with you guys, and looks like you're going skiing and stuff. And
we're always like trying to go out to the mountains because there's nothing else to do. It's
exactly.
We're like the one thing we can do together is go skiing and go snowboarding, which we actually really enjoy doing that.
It's packed though, right? Everybody wants to go to the mountains. You gotta get up early.
The weird part is that it's maybe a little bit busier than normal, but it's the rules that actually make it seem like it's busier because they spread everybody out and they like pace people out, especially on the chairlift the gondola up to Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you have to get on the gondola line, and by like 7:30, 8 o'clock, there's already people in line, and that gondola doesn't open till 8. So like by the time you get up there, it can be like 11 o'clock. It's crazy.
You guys got to get into backcountry skiing.
Yeah, I know.
Is that what you do?
There.
I know.
Do you ski or snowboard?
I do a little bit. Like, I mean, I ski. I used to backcountry ski a lot more in college, and I kind of looked at it like that was my ticket into the backcountry for the winter. So I kind of took up skiing for a little bit there, and I haven't been out for a while, at least not on a backcountry trip. So we're working on something. Maybe a potential music video or something will go.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, you imagine just Ryan going on the skis.
Do some Alan Jackson Chattahoochee vibes.
Oh my gosh.
Instead of water skiing, you're gonna be skiing down a mountain singing your song.
I forgot about that.
Isn't that the great? That might be my favorite music video of all time. The guy's just like full jeans and muscle shirt coming out of the water. Erupting out of the water while singing Chattahoochee with his aviator glasses on.
I love it.
Anyways, who is Ryan Lindsay? Who is this guy? He's a country music artist from Alberta that we are in love with. We love this guy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, I didn't know you guys. I didn't.
Oh yeah, we've had a secret affection for you for a couple of years now. But well, no, even before I met you, like I saw your social media, and you were always just like this personality that I was like, man, this is like Alberta's version of Garth Brooks. He's just always running around the stage. And I remember seeing you at Nashville North a couple of years ago. I was like, man, this guy doesn't stop moving.
No, he doesn't.
He's always running around and launching his hat in the air.
We like to have fun.
Exactly.
We like to have fun. We're gonna play a show. We might as well have a good time.
Exactly. And I remember seeing your last social distance COVID safe show where you're all bandanaed up and you can't be running around the place and you got to stay in your box, and you look like you're a caged monkey up there.
And I was just talking about that show this morning with my guitar player Josh, and we're just like, man, that was like so hard. Like we had such a hard time with it because we had to be masked up.
Yeah.
Where you can't really move around and engage with your band and stuff. And to be able to, it took everything fun out of a live show.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it was nice that people could be out and we could have some live music, but man, this whole year has been a real opportunity to appreciate live music because I can't wait to get back at it.
Absolutely.
For reference, this show that we're talking about was back a couple of months ago, and Ryan had the option to either be in like a cage, basically a glass cage, glass box, and didn't have to wear a mask, or to be on stage and wear the mask. And you're like, I'm gonna go on stage, I'm gonna do this. So
it was
amazing.
Cool. Like the King Eddie has really worked to in Calgary has really worked to come up with some solutions, and so they offered me this show, and they're like, we've got a separate room with glass, and you can play in the room, and then everybody else will be in there in the other room. And I got in there for sound check, and I took a look at it, and I was like, I don't want to play in a fish bowl.
No.
So I said, can we just play with our masks on? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess never thought of that.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, we're playing with our masks on. So it was kind of an 11th hour decision to play with the masks on, but I don't know. It was kind of nice to be in the same room as everybody, but it's not the same. We're kind of biding our time a little bit until we can play a real show.
Yeah, and like it's nice that you had the opportunity to at least get your music out there and start playing a show, because you just released a record this year, right?
Yeah.
Last year, I guess, 2020. But I guess our first question for you is, when did music kind of start becoming a part of your life and kind of part of who Ryan is?
I mean, it was always going, like, music was a big part of just growing up. Country music. We had AM radio on in the kitchen 24/7. You know,
Amazing.
It went off at about 10 o'clock at night. It went on first thing in the morning at 6 o'clock, and be country music playing in the kitchen. And my sister and I had a little, it was one of those little Walkman tape recorders.
Yeah.
And we would make playlists on it from the AM radio.
Oh,
so
no way.
a country song would come on the radio, and we'd have that thing ready to go. And we'd like put it up to the radio and click record real quick. So every song had like the first 10 seconds chopped off of it.
Yeah.
And then after the song was over, you'd turn it off real quick, and that's how we made our playlists.
It's like kids even nowadays like don't even understand that you had to like sit through commercials or like had to record something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't want to sound like this old guy, but kids these days just don't understand.
It's true.
They don't understand the value of playlists.
One of my favorite TikToks lately is where the guy goes up and he records his son. He's like, "How do you answer the phone?" And the kid does this.
Yeah.
To answer the phone instead of that.
Yeah, reference a flat hand versus like
I forgot.
Phone.
I sometimes
We're on a podcast.
Pretty soon it'll be. This is how you answer the phone.
How do you check? How do you check the time? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're checking the time on your phone.
How do you check the time? Yeah, this is how you check the time.
What made you actually want to pursue music then? Obviously, like it was in the household and it was something you grew up with. What made you transition to be like, hey, I actually want to be that person on the radio and everyone else recording my songs now on the
right. I guess it was kind of gradual for me. Like I pursued a lot of different things in my life. I don't come from a background of pursuing music my entire life. It's always been a huge part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I think the first time I got the thought that I might want to do country music was probably when I was fairly young. I was maybe 10 years old, and I learned a Johnny Cash tune on the guitar and played it at a family reunion or something around the fire, and everybody, it kind of brought everybody in. You know, everybody kind of came in around the fire and sang along, and it was kind of my first realization of wow, music really brings people together, and I would love to be a catalyst for that. So I kind of started, that kind of lit the fire for me and kept me motivated. But it was always just kind of this fun thing for me that I was pursuing, and I went to school. I took outdoor education, and I was guiding during the summers, and just have a huge love for the backcountry. And during that time, I was playing in a bar band.
Okay.
Played bars and kind of toured around Alberta, and so that was my introduction into music professionally. But after guiding for a few years, it kind of gave me something to write about.
Yeah. And
I started writing my own music, and eventually it just got to the point where it was like, you know, I think I want to share this. I want to share this in a solo project, and I kind of launched the career that I have as we know it, putting out albums, and since then it's just been kind of nonstop. There's not a day that goes by I don't think about it.
How did you just start? Like just one day you're like, hey, I'm going to be a songwriter. I'm going to be an artist. Like what was almost that leap that you took to take that? Because everyone's like, oh, the first step or the first thing to do is the hardest. And then you
I don't know. I think it was gradual. Yeah. Like I said, it was just gradual. I was, even after I guided, I kind of thought, okay, I might want to try out this music thing, but I need something that's going to support it. So then I went into the trades and started pursuing my electrical ticket. And then I was working on that and doing music on the side, and just it kept growing and growing, and I was recording a bit and put out my first single, and one thing led to another, and pretty soon I was doing it full time. So up until the pandemic.
Yes.
And then I was really grateful that I had my electrical ticket this year.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was full time, but right now you're kind of juggling a couple things at once.
Yeah. I mean, it's been, I've been really fortunate this year I've found quite a few ways to kind of make it through the pandemic and still, for the most part, do music as my full-time gig. But I have my electrical to fall back on, and yeah, I work on weekends and still pick up jobs if I need to. It's awesome, and I think it really it's a good reminder. It's good for writing to do something like that.
Yeah. Do you think it's important?
You're just doing shows, it's hard on the writing to try to come up with good material.
Right. If you're doing the same thing, if you're doing the same thing every week and every weekend, it's maybe hard to get creativity. So if you're out there doing multiple different things, you have other things to draw upon too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always try to make a point to do that. Like, it's so easy to just get in this cycle of just doing music to do music.
Right.
And, man, you got to get out fishing and go to the mountains and go skiing and stuff like that. Like, that's such a huge part of living for me that I'll never give that up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you think it's important to go to school? Like, whether for you,
yes,
what
kids.
You're going to school, what you're going to school for, though,
stay in school, kids.
It's different from what doing music, right? You're not taking, like, I don't know, the business side of music or anything like that. You almost have like two completely different things that you're juggling.
Yeah.
Yes. Personally, I know quite a few young artists. I've gotten to know, it's such a cool industry, you know, you get to know everybody. Even I've gotten to know pop artists and people in the music industry that I you know, never would have met. You know, we come from completely different worlds.
Yeah.
And, I've met some young artists that have kind of just come up in the music industry, and my advice to them, sometimes unsolicited, is that, yeah, you should, like, don't feel like you turn 18, you gotta like just jump full board into music.
Yeah.
Go do something, go travel, like live your 20s and go experience some stuff, because I think especially your early 20s, it's such a pivotal time to really get to know yourself and experience some things. And yeah, if that's school, that's great. It doesn't have to be school, but like, yeah, get a trade or like do something, like try to experience some things other than just music. Because I personally, as a writer, that's where I draw all my writing from. All my lyrics kind of come from life experiences outside of music. So it's kind of hard for me to imagine it any other way.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anybody in your life that kind of helped you to realize some of that? Like, do you have any mentors in your life, and do you believe that mentoring is like an important part of the music industry and life in general? But how does that kind of come into your life throughout the years?
Yeah, just like I've been really fortunate to have met a number of music mentors in the music industry that kind of helped show me the ropes, I guess. People that saw something in me and educated me about the industry and got me set on the right foot. So I've been really fortunate that way. But outside of that, I've just had some really important life mentors. Yeah. People that I've guided with, or people that I've met through, like I've got some friends that after I graduated university, I went sailing with them, and they sail around the world for a living, you know, and just amazing stuff like that. Like I meet people like this that just aren't afraid to take risks and do what they want with their lives. And I've been able to kind of take a page out of their chapter and apply that to my own life in my own way. But yeah, it's just always, I've met so many incredible people that are just not afraid to step outside of the norm a little bit. And you know what? I'm going to do me. So
I feel like you just get super inspired from anybody. You just find somebody, or you just see somebody, you're like, hey, like they're doing something really positive, really good. I'm going to take something that they're doing and integrate it into my life. That's like the vibe I always get from you, that you don't leave anybody shorthanded, right? You try and see something positive about everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so, okay. Is this the point of this podcast? You guys just started this, right? You you really you're exploring authenticity. Is that?
Yeah, basically what we're doing is we're exploring everybody's minds. We're trying to like ask all of our friends, and like we've talked to lots of people and kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, is like we talk about what people are up to, but then also like what is authenticity and what does being authentic mean to you, right?
That's great.
And that's where we're getting into. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Yeah, and I feel like that's just it, is like really getting to know yourself is looking towards other people and being inspired by others, and then seeing yourself in that, and kind of we're social beings, and we learn from each other.
Exactly. So. And we have so many people in Alberta alone to like look up to and to bounce ideas off of. Like, it's easy to compare a lot, but what I like to do is I like to see what other people are doing and then see, oh, hey, like maybe that's something that I could apply to my life, even if it's not like comparing necessarily or like negatively comparing, like they're living their life authentically. I should be doing that too. That kind of stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Also for you, when we talk about like authentic personalities, like when Dylan and I were first starting this podcast, we're like, we got to get Ryan right away, because your personality is like no other. And honestly, it is. And like,
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it is
a very good thing.
In the music industry, like you need to show your personality though, don't you think?
I try not to overthink that too much.
Really?
Like, I mean, everybody's so concerned about brand all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you just got to be you. Yeah. And your brand will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of an organic approach with it, I guess, but
Yeah. It's a balance too of like being your authentic self, but then also being what, like you said, brands, labels, radio, what they want. How do you try and then balance that to grow your career, but also trying to keep yourself?
Yeah, again, it's like I just try not to overthink it. Like the biggest thing is not being afraid to put yourself out there. Like you don't have to try to be anything. You already are something, but you have to put that out there. You have to be bold and be yourself, and I think that's important with anything in life, really. So.
Just not being afraid.
So how long have you guys been doing this podcast for?
We've been doing this for a couple of months.
Yeah, we're about like, I think we're double-digit episodes now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is going to be
and you guys 11. Are really
you
guys are building up an authentic brand too online, just TikTok especially. Like I see you guys all over TikTok, and
that I make fun of Dylan all the time.
Yeah, you guys
if you can call authentically just her calling me out on all my BS.
It's easy content.
That's cool. And one thing too that I wanted to mention to you, Megan, is like early in the pandemic, I remember you texted me and just almost out of concern, like, how are you doing?
How's Ryan?
Okay.
Yeah, all the live shows got canceled, and you reached out, and I remember the first thing you said was, "How can I help?" And people remember that kind of stuff. It's really just being good to people in this industry is so important.
Yeah.
People forget that all the time. Like being yourself and being nice to people. What
it's
a crazy
simple.
idea.
It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple.
A lot of people, I don't know. I want to say, I would like to think everybody has like a kind soul and that would just do that, but
not everyone thinks like you, right? Yeah.
I don't think anybody's, there's not many people out there that are being outright malicious.
No.
But you got to be aware of how you're treating other people. It's so important to being successful in anything in life. We need each other. So
We also wanted to mention for you coming up later this month, you're nominated for a couple of Alberta Country Music Awards. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really exciting.
You're nominated for 3. Is that correct? You have Album of the Year, Horizon Male Artist, and Community Spirit.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
I think the Community Spirit one is like the easiest nomination. I was like, if Ryan's not in that category, what are they even doing?
I'm particularly proud of that one, just with all the work I've done with the foundation. I helped start a foundation called Spirit of the Land, and I mean, it's a little bit handcuffed right now. We're not doing a ton of work during the pandemic, but going to get going again once the dust settles, and they're just doing incredible work. I'm still on the board for it, and it's something that I'm trying to bring over that foundation into the music industry and get a little bit of crossover. But they're doing a lot of work with community agriculture and food, and there's just some neat stuff happening. And we had a big fundraiser 2 falls ago, and that was really successful, and we called it Prairie Song. Just had a bunch of Alberta artists out, and we had a singer-songwriter round, and had all local food too, locally sourced food, which was incredibly, like, I mean, down to the milk. It was like the 100-mile, like down to the milk. It was all the ingredients of everything was completely low. I can't tell you how hard that was.
That probably not like you wouldn't even have thought of that, but yes, that probably would have just been like a hassle in itself.
Amazing.
Anyway, so that's, I mean, just on a personal level, that's a pretty cool one to get nominated for, and the album as well. It was such a team effort to put out an album during the pandemic.
No kidding. So maybe speak to that process a little bit. What was that like, collaborating with your band, with producers, with other people in the industry to make that album happen while you couldn't necessarily, easily just be like, yeah, hey, come over, let's track some vocals or that kind of thing?
I don't like doing things. I don't like doing things remotely. No. So like, I like getting a band in on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's just how I like cutting music. And that was a little tricky.
No kidding. Yeah.
So we kind of thought, okay, back in August, that it was still, COVID numbers were down, and we thought, okay, what about a reduced number? Like, we'll do a stripped down thing so that we can be in separate rooms, and we'll mask up and everything, and we'll do more of a stripped down album. And I had these songs that I always wanted to cut in a stripped down way, kind of with a bit of a bluegrass vibe. But I never knew when the right time for it was. And I kind of felt like, everybody's feeling stripped down right now. I don't know if this is the time to be putting out a full production album anyway. So I kind of had to let go of that idea for a little while, push it back. And we kind of did a 180 and cut this project. But we got in, and the goal was to really keep it raw. Some of the tracks, like the very first track on the album, I sat down with my acoustic, we set up 3 mics, and I played it once through, and that was it. We didn't edit the vocals. We just wanted to keep it really organic and real, because that's how people are feeling right now.
Yes. And you want to be relatable. That's like, I think, a big thing, whether it is, for your writing process, for just being on stage, or especially social media. Wanted to talk to you about that too, because you're trying to really push on social media, especially during the pandemic. Do you find it almost like a little bit of a competition though? Because it's hard to see someone else maybe being successful because of their social media. Like, how does that affect you?
Yeah, like I probably follow people on social media less than I should.
Okay.
I'm not that active on social media. I try to post regularly.
Yeah.
And I follow some friends, and I go on my feed every once in a while, but it can be, as everybody knows, it can be really consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to limit that, even for your own creativity. If you're watching other people too much on social media and modeling yourself after them, you're not really going to be creating unique stuff. Now we know you guys have been active on TikTok, and that's all about chasing trends, but you still have to do your own.
Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting if you don't figure out a way to be yourself and put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
So, even though that's a platform that chases trends, you still have to find a way to be yourself. And
you can't just copy everybody else, right?
Yeah. I know I keep saying this, but again, it's like, I try not to overthink it.
Yeah.
That's like a motto. That's Ryan's motto. Don't overthink
That's great
things.
because I think a lot of our world right now is that there's so many like mental breakdowns or mental like blips because everybody's overthinking everything in their life.
Yes, we live in this, everything's filtered and thought out, and it's all about creating this facade. And like, I don't want to live my life like that. That's horrible. Nobody, that's awful. So I just as much as I can, I try to get away from that. Of course, like making stuff look cool online is great. Like I love trying to make stuff look cool.
Yeah.
but you still have to be yourself through all that. So it's an easy thing to say, but it can be hard to actually do. So
I think another thing for me is that the most important thing in my life is that I need to make sure that everything I do is that I'm doing it while I'm being authentic and like doing everything authentically. And I'm wondering, like, obviously in talking with you briefly over the last couple months and then just like knowing your personality, I feel like authenticity is a large part of your life. Maybe you can touch upon that and kind of explain what authenticity means to you as an artist and then also as a person.
Yeah, I think it, man, I'll just kind of like reiterate some of the things I've already said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, it's about, authenticity is just about being yourself. It's not about creating something that you're not, and, pursue things that you're passionate about, that fuel you, and not what you think you should be. I've always kind of like resisted that kind of the societal expectations that, hey, you're supposed to live this life where you get married, have kids, get a house, get the white picket fence. And that's great for some people. Sometimes that is what people want and what is authentic to somebody. But for me, it was like, I never felt drawn to that path. I kind of wanted to journey a little bit in life. And so I guess that's I guess how I kind of have created authenticity, but it wasn't ever fabricated. It was just me being myself and doing living the kind of life that I want to live and not being afraid to do it. Yeah. So I think that's a big thing. I could go on about the challenges and the, choosing this life has not been easier. I think, for sure. Like I love playing music and it's like a passion. It's fun for me, but not all the time. Sometimes it's really challenging and really it's put a lot of hurdles in place for me, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I was going to say, you wouldn't go back and say, hey, even though this was the tougher route and I don't know how the future holds. Whereas if it was an easy route to go do A, B, C, and I know what I'm looking forward to, you would still continue and say, hey, no, I'm still choosing the way I wanted to do it.
Yeah, totally. And actually, oddly enough, choosing music as a career post guiding has been less nomadic. I talk about like, maybe my early resistance to settle down and get the white picket fence. This has actually been, in comparison, like I've been able to kind of put some roots down in Alberta a little bit, and that's been really nice. Yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've covered a lot of stuff today, but go ahead.
No, sorry. I remember.
Man, you guys have me on anytime. I'd love to. This is great. Like,
we love this.
On these things and just hanging out and
absolutely.
It's sweet. So.
And I was going to say, like, the one thing I wanted to ask you at the end of all of this is like, a piece of advice that you would give
Oh,
somebody?
yeah.
I think we already know the answer. Don't take life so seriously. Just
Yeah.
go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's how Ryan goes. I don't even have to ask you that question because you
Yeah.
know the answer.
Yeah, and also like the other thing I'll say too, when it's funny when I've learned a lot, and you'll maybe hear this in my album, but I drew a lot of my writing on my album from backcountry travel, and
Yeah.
the ride, the title track is all about kind of
Love
journey
that song.
and
Yeah.
being on a journey somewhere.
Mhm.
And one mantra that we used to have all the time in the backcountry, and I still think about this all the time. You're maybe on an expedition or something. You're hiking, and we always used to say, notice what you notice. Like you're in the moment. Look around you and like appreciate stuff. Like notice that thing. Notice what you notice. And I love that mantra because it's like, man, make sure that maybe this is a little cliche, but make sure you stop and smell the roses, because life is so fast. We live in this super fast paced life right now. Like technology is just, I cannot believe we're in February already.
I know, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Let alone another year.
Yeah, that's unreal. So,
Yeah.
just notice what you notice, and make sure that you enjoy the ride. That's why I chose the title track off my album, because it was like, I felt like I did want to leave my audience for the last track on the album. I wanted to leave them with something, leave them with a piece of advice.
Yeah.
And that was my way of doing it. So
it's very
love that.
cool.
we were actually going into the album. We were a day or two out from recording, and I felt like it was missing something. Like I hadn't written that song yet. And oh man, I feel like I need to one last thing.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
And so I sat down, and for like 7 or 8 hours. I had a pot of coffee just rolling all day, and I wrote that song.
Just shaking as you're writing it.
Locked myself in a room and came out, and I had that song, and that was the title track for the album. So
Yeah. Amazing.
I love that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, thank you for coming on our podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys, this is so cool.
Because it is. It's almost just like we're having like a FaceTime call, or we're just hanging out. And I think this is a great way.
It's the next best thing to us, sitting after a show and having a beer, having a whiskey together. So
Yeah,
we'll get to do that someday soon. But
there's that Vince Gill song. We're all looking for the next big thing. Big thing.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Our listeners got a little song at the end of that too.
Guys.
Hey,
Yes.
maybe.
Thanks so much. Well, we will have you again on a future podcast.
Absolutely.
Best of luck for the Alberta Country Music Awards later this month. We're rooting for you.
We'll be watching.
Yeah, thanks so much. It airs the exact date has slipped my mind, but it's at the
28th,
end
I
of
believe.
February.
February 28th.
I believe it's February
You guys-
28th.
End of February. But
Perfect.
Anyways.
I think you're right. It's the 28th. So
Yeah.
yeah.
all right, you guys.
Thanks,
Take-
Ryan.
All
Take
right.
care. Thanks so much.